Pashas Beshalach. That's this week's Torah reading. It's an amazing parsha. I mean, if we had something like this every week, we can give you real geschmacka teachings. Beshalach is loaded with material. But let's focus on a couple of things that make Beshalach very special. The first one is what Reb Nosson writes about Pashas Peshawar. He says it's the way that we live our lives every single day. Every single day we go through the same thing that we have in Beshalach. What is that? The first thing you see is Hashem's compassion and Hashem's help. And you realize that you can get up in the morning and you can go out and do whatever you have to do. It's tremendous. It's really great. I can get up. But do we see Hashem in there? Sometimes we're lucky, we're fortunate that we see Hashem when we get up. Other times, we're not so fortunate. Worse, though, is when Hashem conceals himself. And he conceals himself with a reason. He wants to see, what do you do when the problems mount up? Who do you turn to? Right? You always have a problem. You always turn to somebody for help. Who do you turn to when you really have problems? So Reb Nosson says that this parsha shows us how this happened the entire time. The Jews left Egypt. They had an exodus. A tremendous Yeshua. They got up in the morning. They got out to do whatever they're going to do. And as they were traveling a few days, all of a sudden, Paro and his cohorts come after them. They start running and chasing them, pursuing them, to have the whole army, the armored corps, whatever you had, that Paro had at that time, all his wagons and all his horses and all his, like Humpty Dumpty, all the king's horses and all the king's men. He had everything there. He ran after them. What did they do? They turned to Moshe Rabbeinu. They turned to the tzaddik. Moshe told them, we have to daven. They turned to Hashem. They davened to Hashem. And Hashem appeared to them. He says, don't worry about it. You think it's an impossible situation? Isn't that what we think every day? I can't take this situation. I can't take it. It's impossible. Right? That's what happened over there. That's what happened. They're surrounded. In the back, coming upon them, is Paro and his chariots, Paro and his whole army. On the side, there were tremendous mountains, big rocks that they couldn't surmount. On the other side, there was a forest full of wild animals. And in front of them, they had a sea. Some say, okay, what are we supposed to do? We're overwhelmed. It's an impossible situation. When it's impossible, so what do you do? When it's impossible, you just give up. Some said, let's turn around and fight. Some said, let's go back to Egypt. What do we need the whole headache for? Go back and serve. We're doing this for so many years. We'll keep on doing it, right? Others say, no, we'll run into the forest and we'll hide there. Nobody thought that they should jump into the sea. Nobody thought. Hashem says to them, you know what? Jump into the sea. Jump in. Why are you afraid to take a leap forward in your life? What's holding you back from taking that forward leap? Almost everybody will live their lives with the comfortable. It's comfortable with the known. That which is known to me, or as the saying is, better the devil I know. Better the devil. Why do you take the devil you know? Why take the devil? But better the devil you know. So you take the devil, and okay, I'll go back to Egypt. Okay, maybe I'll battle. I'll try and do something. Maybe I'll run away. I'll do something. Nobody thinks to take a leap forward, even though it looks really, really impossible. And that's when Hashem appears. When the moment of impossibility appears to you, when it's really, really hanging on you, that's when Hashem will always appear. He says to Moshe, the people are afraid of the unknown. They're afraid of jumping into the sea. Right? Don't be afraid. You jump in and you'll see that the sea will split before you. Okay? And that's what happened. The sea split. And the Jews passed over. They had faith in Hashem, and they had that. With that faith, they were able to overcome. And they went through. They crossed the sea. Water, it just split open for them. They were able to walk through. No mud on the bottom. It became like hardened concrete. They crossed, and they got where they were going. And they were saved. So now you would think you saw Hashem's hand. This is beautiful. I'm going to be with Hashem the whole time. This is what I want. All right? And they go a few days, and they go without water. There's no water. I'm thirsty. Moshe, I'm thirsty. You got to drink. There were no Cokes then, right? There was no Diet Coke or regular Coke. There was no Sprite or whatever. But water? Moshe, I'm thirsty. I need water. Hashem says to him, it's all right. Go over to this place, right? Put in a tree, and the tree will make the water sweet, and you'll be able to drink it. And he did. Hashem appeared to them again. Hashem helped them out. They were thirsty. Hashem brought them what they needed. That's okay. Life is getting better now. Hashem is there with you again. Bang. We ran out of food. Comes Parshat chapter 15, chapter 16, right? We go to the next segment of the Parshat. There's no food, right? The food they took with them from Egypt is gone, right? Moshe, I'm hungry. There's no pizza store here. There's no McDonald's. There's no White Castle. There's no Kosher Delight or whatever. It's not here. Moshe, I'm hungry. What am I going to do here? I'm in the desert, right? Says Hashem, don't worry about it. I'm going to give you food every day. I am going to give you food on a daily basis. In the morning, you're going to have food. In the evening, you're going to have fat meat. You know, fatty meat. Today, they won't accept that, you know. But in those days, fatty meat was acceptable. So you're going to have fatty meat, and you're going to be able to have what you need. I'm going to give you food every single day. You're going to be supplied with your needs. The miracle of the manna. And manna came down every single day. Every single day the Jews were there, and they had manna to eat. They had whatever they were going to need for the day. And at night it disappeared. And in the next morning, they asked Hashem, what do we do? They asked Moshe, what do we do? Hashem told them, don't worry. It'll be disappeared by the nightfall, but comes the next morning, you're going to have it again. Some people believed, some people didn't believe, but that's what happened. 40 years, all they had to do was walk out of their tents and go take the manna that they needed for the day. Amazing, huh? So Hashem appeared to them, and He gave them the salvation. And then, at the end of the Parshat here, beginning of chapter 17, right, we find, again, there's no water. Excuse me. They had water, they were taken care of. They had manna, now you have food to eat. And now they come to a different place, we feed them, and there's no more water. They have no more water to drink, nothing to eat. Moshe, I'm thirsty. I got to have something to drink with my manna, right? And no one sits down to a meal, just food. You have to have something to drink. So they need water. Hashem tells Moshe, okay, we hid from them. I hid myself from them. They're complaining, they're crying, they need, but I'm here for all their needs. Go strike the rock, and it'll give forth water. Did you ever hear that before? You're going to hit a rock and you're going to draw water. You know, they say that about, you go to some of these very, very wealthy people, you ask them for charity. But are you going to get water from a rock? You're going to take these very wealthy people, do you think that they're like rocks? They're going to give you money for charity, whatever? Yeah, Moshe Rabbeinu got water from the rock. He hit the rock and it came. So now Hashem is with them. So now they finished that, and then all of a sudden Hashem disappears again. And Amalek comes, and Amalek starts fighting battle. Comes the end of the Parsha, Amalek is there in its full glory, trying to destroy whatever Klal Yisrael was able to attain till now. And finally, Hashem goes out, says, Moshe, go out, we're going to do battle, and they won. So Reb Nosson explains to us, this Parsha shows us what life is all about. How Hashem appears to a person, how Hashem disappears from the person. He appears, he hides himself. He appears, he hides himself here. But this is the way life is all the time. If you want to talk about the miracles that happened, the splitting of the sea, I mean, how does water split? You ever try it? Right? Now, one scientist was yet able to duplicate that feat. Nothing, all the things, maybe, what's his name? The guy who made the movie, The Ten Commandments, I forgot his name. But he's the one, Cecil B. DeMille, yeah? He made a movie, he replicated the splitting of the sea on screen. He was able to take the shots and do it, but it never happened. What you have is splitting of a sea. Something that seems completely impossible to me. Yes, it is impossible to me, but it's not impossible for Hashem. If we understand that, we can understand how Hashem could appear and disappear and make miracles happen. A lot of things that go on in our life. If we believe there is a true tzaddik, Moshe, who we can turn to, ask for his advice, and ask him to guide us. If we believe that there is a God who is watching over us and taking care of our needs and just wants to see where we turn in time of need, then we'll be able to see the splitting of the sea even in our own lives. After all, the Gemara says that the livelihood of a person is as difficult to attain as splitting the sea. Can you split the sea? No. Could you attain your livelihood? No. All of a sudden Hashem gives you some idea, you get involved, you go out, you do this work, you get your paycheck, you get your profit, you get your millions. Hashem should bless everyone, right? But it's hard to do Kriyas Yamsuf, but it happens every day. If we see the miracles in our lives, if we open our eyes just to see how Hashem is leading us and guiding us, we're doing what we can do, Hashem will always do what He knows He has to do for us. And the same thing happens with the manna. The manna comes down every day, right? If we're fortunate enough, we see that whatever we have in our lives is manna. Last night, I had the good fortune of having my 6th great-grandchild born to me, right? My grandson, I had a baby girl last night, Mazel Tov. But these are the gifts. I have manna from heaven, right? Every little thing that I have is a manna. It's a gift from heaven. Water, I'm thirsty, right? I need to drink. Of course, the Gemara tells us, the Midrashim, that the food that we had is spiritual food. The Gemara tells us that the water that we drank is spiritual water, things that feed our soul, that we don't really pay too much attention to. That's our problem. And that's why Amalek comes to battle us, right? But you should know that Hashem is there too. Amalek represents, Rabbi Nachman teaches, represents the doubts and confusion that we have in faith, right? If we're willing to battle Amalek, we'll be able to see how water comes to us in the desert. We'll be able to see how manna comes down every day. we'll be able to see the splitting of the Red Sea, and we'll be able to really and truly appreciate what Pashas Beshalach really means to us.